I was sentenced to 5 years in prison for my wife's embezzlement of public funds. After serving 2.5 years, I earned a chance at parole for good behavior. All I needed was my wife's guarantee, and I could walk free. But during her visit, she told me she was pregnant with another man's child, wanting to seize her prime childbearing years. I spent a month in the icy depths of despair in prison, and when we met again, I finally relented. I can raise the child, but you must cut all ties with him. She didn't refuse my request, even painting a picture of a bright future with me. Yet, on the day of the parole signing, she suddenly chose to back out. I'm sorry, Joa. It was Zimming who took care of me during your absence. I owe him. Just focus on reforming yourself. Let me give him these remaining 2.5 years of a warm family life with his wife and child. A sharp pain pierced my heart, and my constricted throat struggled to utter a question. Qianyun, shouldn't you feel indebted to me? It was I who mortgaged all our assets to cover the shortfall when her embezzlement was discovered. But she turned around and pinned the blame on me, colluding with the board to send me to prison. A hint of impatience flickered in her eyes, and she fidgeted with the clasp of her bag. Yes, I owe you. But you didn't expose me back then, did you? If it was voluntary, why bring it up now to gain sympathy? I was already 29 when you went in. Did you expect me to wait 5 years and miss my prime childbearing years? A man's 5 years and a woman's 5 years are not the same. You shouldn't be so selfish as to bind me. She spoke so lightly, as if the person sitting across from her was just a business partner weighing pros and cons. Impulsively, I asked her, do you still love me? Her expression froze for a moment, then softened. You and I are legally husband and wife. I will spend the rest of my life with you. So, please, just grant me this. Let Zimming have these mere 2.5 years, okay? Mere 2.5 years? Did she know how agonizing those mere 2.5 years were? Each day, feeling like an eternity? I closed my eyes gently, trying to conceal the welling moisture. Qianyun, let's get a divorce. After a long silence, she stood up resolutely. At the door, she turned back to look at me. We're adults. Don't say things in anger. A man appeared at the corner, considerately took the bag from her hand, and put his arm around her waist as they left. The lawyer stood there awkwardly, asking me cautiously, Mr. Song, besides your wife, only that person can vouch for you, shall we? I slowly opened my eyes, finally letting the tears fall. I brought this upon myself. These remaining 2.5 years, let them be my punishment for misjudging her. After the lawyer left, I returned to that cold, bleak cell. Life here was unchanging, almost identical every day. I thought the next 2.5 years would be as uneventful as before. But a week after my wife's visit, a fierce-looking man was assigned to the bunk above mine. Every night, just as I was falling asleep, he would accidentally drip a drop of ice-cold water onto my forehead. I spent night after night in restless terror, losing 10 pounds in just 2 weeks. I tried to report him, but each time I was punished and returned, his torment only escalated. He even dragged me to the urinal, tying me there all night with a bedsheet. When I glared at him and asked why he was doing this, he sneered, I'm just being paid to do a job. Who told you to compete with someone you shouldn't for a woman? When you get out, be smarter and don't bother dang Qianyun again. So it was Gu Zimming's doing. I let out a silent, wretched laugh in the dark night. So, Qianyun, do you know how I'm being tormented here? When my lawyer came to see me, he was shocked by my mental state. Mr. Song, I really can't bear to see you like this. Please forgive me for contacting Mrs. Ding without your permission. I hope you two can have a good talk this time. A few days later, Ding's wife did come to visit. It had been 6 months since our last meeting. She had cut her hair short, and her swollen belly was carefully protected by a large, gentle hand. I looked up at them. They looked just like a newlywed couple eagerly expecting the arrival of their child. When she saw me, his wife's eyes faltered. Jehua, why are you so haggard? The concern in her voice didn't seem fake, but it didn't matter anymore. I slowly shifted my gaze until it met Gu Zimming's. He raised an eyebrow, the hint of a victor's smile playing on his lips. I was about to speak, but he beat me to it with a heavy sigh. Qianyun, the people Jehua is living with are all economic criminals, very docile. Who would dare to cause trouble? I guess he still doesn't want to accept the relationship between you and me, So he's using this method to break us up? I watched as he squeezed a tear from the corner of his eye, coaxing his wife to look at me with a gaze that turned from worry to disgust. Fu Jiahua, when did you become so unscrupulous? This only makes me look down on you even more. I promised Zimming that I would be wholeheartedly with him for these 2.5 years. If I hadn't heard from Lawyer Wong that you were in a bad state, I would never have let Zimming suffer such grievance. I'm very disappointed in you, and I will never come to see you again. I didn't. Before I could finish my sentence, the person on the other end had already hung up the phone and left. The disgust in her eyes was like a sharp knife stabbing into my heart, making it almost impossible for me to breathe. How ridiculous! I am clearly her legal husband, yet in the end, to see her, I have to worry about another man being unhappy. Gu Zimming didn't leave with his wife. Instead, he picked up the phone and taunted me. Fu Jiahua, do you know you look like a dog right now? To tell you the truth, I was the one who found those people. If you know what's good for you, you'll stay in here and not get in the way. But it doesn't matter if you want to make trouble. Since Qianyun was willing to embezzle public funds for me, and even send you to prison, it means she has no feelings for you at all. Give up. I felt like I'd been struck on the head. So, when my wife said she embezzled public funds to save her seriously ill mother, that was a lie too. A wave of dizziness swept over me. I was really tired. I didn't want this marriage anymore. I contacted my lawyer and accepted his advice. The next day, my mother, whom I hadn't seen in 10 years, came to the prison. Seeing me in such a state, her eyes finally reddened. Is this what you meant by finding true love? I didn't have the face to look at her. 10 years ago, I refused the arranged marriage by her family and resolutely left with only 3,000 yuan in my bank card to make my own way in the world. I forged my identity. No one knew I was the crown prince of Rongqing's richest man, including my wife, Ding Qianyun. But not only did she not despise me for being poor, she even defied her parents for me and resolutely married me. On the coastline of Rongqing's western suburbs, we used shells as tokens of our love and fought against our fates together in the afterglow of the setting sun. But now, these romantic memories have become utterly ridiculous. I was taken to the best hospital in Rongqing for treatment. The lawyer delivered my personal belongings. I opened my phone and saw a photo of my wife and me, playfully pinching each other's noses. A wave of bitterness washed over me. It had only been a week since I was sent to prison, and I couldn't help but think that she had already planned to make me take the blame for her. Out of habit, I checked her WeChat moments. I discovered that during my absence, she had posted almost daily about her sweet moments with Gu Zimming. I clicked on one video where they were making a cake together. My wife playfully smeared cream on Gu Zimming's face, and they laughed and played, ending with a passionate kiss. The comments below were all blessings and expressions of envy for the talented and beautiful couple. Qianyun looks like she's truly found love. I've never seen her show off like this before. Bless you both. May you be together forever. I've prepared the wedding gift money, just waiting for the wedding banquet. Among the overwhelming comments, my wife only replied with thank you and promised to invite them to the wedding banquet once the date was set. I commented with a wry smile. If you, and here having a wedding banquet, then what about the man on your marriage certificate? But then I deleted the comment. Since I had decided to let go, it no longer mattered to me who she wanted to marry. In a daze, I saw that my wife had updated her WeChat moments again. It was a picture of her at the hospital for a prenatal checkup. I looked at the sign on the glass door and realized it was the same hospital I was in. A familiar voice came from the hallway outside. Zimming, our child will be born in a month. How about I give you a gift? Gu Zimming's tone was restrained, but he couldn't hide the joy in his heart. Qianyun, how can this be? How can you give us all the company's shares? This company was founded by Jiahua and me, but now he's in prison, and I have no interest in managing the company. You are the best candidate, so consider it my compensation to you. When Jiahua gets out, I will work hard with him, just like before. Listening to my wife's tone, full of anticipation for the future, I could only feel how ridiculous it was. You and I have no future, Ding Qianyun. The 4-tube in my hand reflected a glaring bright red. I came back to my senses and pressed the call button. When a nurse opened the door and came in, my wife happened to glance in my direction. She immediately strode in excitedly and was shocked to see my emaciated appearance. Jiahua, what are you doing here? Are you sick? Why didn't you let Lawyer Wong contact me? The nurse looked at her, then at Gu Ziming, and, for a moment, couldn't figure out the relationship between the three of us. Is this your family member? The nurse asked me for confirmation, but I shook my head. No. My wife's eyes froze. She was about to come forward to check on my condition, but Gu Ziming called her from outside. Honey, it's our turn. I went through a lot of trouble to book this specialist appointment. Don't let some unimportant person delay the checkup. My wife hesitated for a moment, but still walked towards the door. Jiahua, I'll come find you after my checkup. I didn't respond to her, nor did I even look outside. After she left, I immediately arranged a transfer to another hospital because I wasn't sure how much longer I could hold on. The deep-seated expectation in my heart made me feel really pathetic. The only thing I could do was to stop seeing them. I sank into a deep sleep, and when I awoke, there was no one beside me. My phone buzzed incessantly, all messages from my wife. Where did you go? Are you back in prison? I couldn't find you. I saw you deleted your comment under my and Ziming's video today. Don't tell me you hurt yourself just to get out of prison and be a thorn in Ziming's side. It's no use, Jiahua. I've already promised Ziming a wedding in 3 days, and nothing will change that. You and I are legally married. A wedding is just a ceremony. It doesn't prove anything. Don't be so petty. I scrolled through many messages, but not a single one expressed concern for my well-being. I felt as if a string had snapped, and I could no longer contain the surging pain within me. I broke down and cried. With swollen, red eyes, I replied to her, "Congratulations on your wedding. I will no longer appear in your lives." My wife's reply came quickly, but I had no interest in reading what she said. I called my mother and asked her to erase all traces of this false identity from the world. Let Fu Jiahua die from this sudden illness. My mother was silent for a moment, then finally sighed softly. All right, I'll take care of everything for you. I then called for a delivery service and handed them the half of the seashell that symbolized my wife's and my love. Please put the shell in the pot of the orchid at the door. This orchid was something my wife and I planted together. She once said that the orchid symbolized the pure and beautiful love between us. But to my surprise, I soon received a call from the delivery driver. There's no orchid. The doorway is full of red roses. Is it okay if I leave it next to the red roses? I laughed self-deprecatingly and replied, throw it away. 3 days later, Ding Qinyun and Gu Ziming held their wedding at the most luxurious hotel in Rongqing. And that day was also the day my mother finished handling all the paperwork for me. In a sense, Fu Jiahua completely disappeared from this world from that point on. At the wedding venue, Ding Qinyun was restless, frequently picking up her phone. My unread message had become a thorn in her heart. Even the tender moment of exchanging vows with Gu Ziming was rushed through by her. Gu Ziming was somewhat displeased, but he could only suppress his emotions in the dressing room and ask her, Babe, you seem a bit off today. Is it pre-wedding jitters? Don't worry, after we're married. I'll take good care of you and the baby. But Ding Qinyun frowned impatiently and emphasized, Ziming, I think I made it very clear before. This wedding with you is compensation for you. We won't become a real husband and wife because of it. Gu Ziming's face darkened instantly, but he gritted his teeth and endured it. Meanwhile, Ding Qinyun kept dialing my number, even though the voice on the other end said it was not in service. The butler called her, saying that a delivery person had thrown something into the yard today, and it looked like a seashell. Ding Qinyun's eyes widened immediately. She got up and left all the guests behind, rushing home immediately. When she arrived at the yard and saw the shattered seashell, she felt a faint sense of panic. Go, call the prison and ask how Jiahua is doing. Not long after, the butler lowered his head and stammered, Madam, Mr. Fu, he's dead. Like a bolt from the blue, Ding Qinyun stood frozen. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Lao Hu, did you dial the wrong number? I just saw Jiahua a few days ago. The butler looked troubled. Madam, the prison said that Mr. Fu's body has already been cremated. Please, accept our condolences. Ding Qinyun screamed, tearing up all the roses planted in front of the door. You're lying to me. You're all lying to me. Jiahua must be angry with me, so he's hiding. I will definitely find him. She couldn't believe I was dead just like that. After all, in her plan, in just 5 years, we could continue to be as inseparable as before and love each other forever. But she didn't realize that she had ignored my feelings all along. She forgot that I wasn't a piece of antique furniture to be locked in storage when she didn't need it and brought out to see the light of day when she did. I am a person, the man who promised to spend his life with her. Because of her extreme emotions, a pain shot through her abdomen, and a warm liquid slowly flowed from beneath her. The butler frantically dialed for an ambulance, but she stopped him. Her head was covered in a cold sweat, and the shells on her hand dug into her palm from her tight grip. Take me to the hospital where Jehua was. I need to find out immediately. I don't believe it. I don't believe Jehua is dead just like that. He promised to spend his life with me. When she woke up in the hospital, Gu Ziming had already arrived, but she didn't even bother to spare him a glance. She summoned all the doctors who had treated me and asked them to confirm the news of my death. Mr. Fu's condition was already very bad when he was hospitalized. I heard painful cries from his ward from time to time. Not only that, Mr. Fu seemed to have suffered great torment before his death, so much so that his mental state also deteriorated. He often sat staring out the window, calling her name. Every word was like a red-hot iron burning her heart. How could that be? He was imprisoned with economic criminals. How could he have been tormented? As if remembering something, her gaze fell on Gu Ziming. Didn't you say it was safe inside and that Jehua wouldn't be harmed? You lied to me. Gu Ziming knelt beside the bed in a panic, almost pleading, Honey, your water is broken. You should go to the delivery room and have the baby first. We can investigate everything else together later, okay? I will definitely not let anyone who hurt Jehua get away with it. Don't call me honey. I am Fu Jehua's wife. Ding Xinyun endured the tremendous pain and stared straight at Gu Ziming. I will find out the truth myself. If it turns out to be related to you, I won't let you go. She was sent to the delivery room and labored for a day and a night. Gu Ziming happily stepped forward to welcome his son, but saw the nurse holding a baby that was all purple and black. The baby was deprived of oxygen for too long in the womb and unfortunately died. Family members, please accept our condolences. Ding Xinyun woke up from the anesthesia, looked at the pale ceiling, and let out a chilling laugh. Jehua, did you take the child away? If so, let this child serve you well in the afterlife. But Gu Ziming's emotions got the better of him, and his face darkened. Xinyun, this is our child. Did you consider my feelings when you said that? He was red-eyed like before, tears of grievance falling from the corners of his eyes. But this trick no longer seemed to work. Ding Xinyun turned her face away in disgust and waved to the butler. The butler understood and pulled Gu Ziming out of the ward. Now that the child is dead, you and Madam have no further connection. Don't come bothering her again. Gu Ziming gritted his teeth in resentment, trying to rush into the ward, but was punched to the ground by a bodyguard. He cried out unwillingly towards the ward, but the person inside was crying for me. Mother threw a welcome-back party for me, inviting all our close friends and relatives to the villa. Naturally, that included by Sherlon, my former fiancée. Seeing me, a smirk played on her lips as she approached with a glass of champagne. Well, if it isn't the Fu family's young master, back from his trials and tribulations. TSK, you look like you've suffered the bitterness of love. I heard you even copied my little trick of playing dead. When are you going to pay me the copyright fee? Her tongue was as sharp as ever. Due to business dealings, our families were very close, and Sherlon and I practically grew up together. The playing dead trick she mentioned was a favorite tactic of hers when we played games as children. Every time I'd be frantic with worry, she'd burst out laughing and open her eyes, calling me a fool. We both looked down on each other, and when she found out I was running away from home, she even set off firecrackers to celebrate. I downed the wine in my glass. I was wrong to run away from the wedding. If mocking me makes Miss Bai feel better, then please be my guest. TCH, don't think you're so important. While you were gone, I lived the high life. No one annoyed me. It was fantastic. I went through men one after another, each one with a better body and better looking than you. Seeming a little triggered, she reverted to her old, rapid-fire self. But when Bai Shihao passed by, he gave her head a sharp rap. Don't listen to my sister's nonsense. After you ran out on the wedding, she cried her eyes out for days. Later, her best friend suggested she find some men, and she got drunk and kept showing off your picture to several models, bragging about how handsome her fiancé was and also, brother, Sherlon urgently covered by Sherhow's mouth, threatening him in a low voice. If you dare say another word, I'll make sure your wife doesn't let you into the bedroom tonight. They walked away, bickering, but I found a bottle of hangover medicine in my jacket pocket. I figure Sherlon must have slipped it in when she shook my hand earlier. I shook my head with a wry smile, feeling a bit disoriented. After all these years, it seemed like everything had changed, and yet, nothing had changed. After resting at home for over a month, my health gradually improved. Mother came upstairs with a bowl of chicken soup, hesitating as if she had something to say. Actually, I already guessed what she wanted to talk about. Over the past decade or so, many business tycoons had risen to prominence, and the Fu family was no longer as powerful as it once was. At such a critical juncture, if I were to marry into the Bai family, it would benefit both families. What does Sherlon think? Mother looked up, somewhat awkwardly relaying Sherlon's original words to me. She said she's not like someone who lacks a sense of propriety, childishly clamoring for true love. If necessary, she'd even marry a beggar. I smiled wryly. That did sound like something she'd say, though I doubted any beggar could put up with her temper. Since she has no objections, then let's proceed as you planned. A few days later, the news of the marriage alliance between the Fu and Bai families spread throughout Rome City. Advertisements in every shopping mall displayed engagement photos of Bai Sherlon and me. Ding Qinyun, passing by a mall, caught a glimpse and froze in place. Is that Jiehua? A surge of immense joy washed over her. Indeed, I knew Jiehua wasn't dead. He would never leave me alone. She immediately sought connections, following the clues from the poster to confirm my identity. That day, I was taking the Bai siblings on a camping trip when a Mercedes suddenly cut us off, forcing me to slam on the brakes. Bai Sherlon, jolted forward, bumped her head. Furious, she threw on her mink coat, stormed out of the car, and unleashed a torrent of abuse at the other driver. Are you blind? Do you know how dangerous that was? If you don't want to live, don't drag others down with you. Ding Qinyun stepped out of her car, her gaze fixed on me, bypassing the woman entirely. Jiehua, why did you lie to me? Bai Sherlon, instantly recognizing the other woman's identity, crossed her arms and turned to me, ready to enjoy the spectacle. I knew this day would come, but I hadn't expected it so soon. I was completely unprepared. I unbuckled my seatbelt and slowly got out of the car. Ding Qinyun's hair had grown somewhat long, but it was frizzy and dull from neglect. The deep hollows of her eyes reminded me of my own tormented, sleepless nights. She must have just finished her postpartum confinement. Her face was as pale as paper, and she looked as if she might be blown away by the wind. Yet, I felt no pity for her. You lied to me first, I said coldly. Tearfully, she stepped towards me, and only when she reached me did she take my hand and place it against her cheek. Why didn't you reply to my messages? I said I would give the child to you, that I would send Gu zimming away, and that the three of us would live happily ever after. Jiehua, I know I was wrong. Now the child is gone. Consider it my penance. Please forgive me, okay? I felt a wave of nausea and abruptly pulled my hand away. Saying all this now is pointless. We can never go back to the way things were. Besides, I am now engaged to be married. Please respect that. Engaged. Ding Qinyun glanced at Bai Sherlon, who was standing to the side. To this woman, Bai Sherlon, hearing Ding Qinyun's tone, instantly flared up. She stepped in front of Ding Qinyun, linking her arm with mine as if staking her claim. That's right, me. The eldest daughter of the Bai family. Do you have a problem with that? Ding Qinyun's gaze was fixed on Sherlon's hand, her eyes reddening alarmingly. Jiehua, don't lie to me. You and I are legally married. How can you be engaged to another woman? Sherlon suddenly burst into laughter. Please, you could give birth to another man's child while married to him. So why can't he be engaged to me? I looked at Ding Qinyun calmly. You committed adultery during our marriage. I've already filed a lawsuit. After being separated for so long, we're no longer legally husband and wife. You are free, and so am I. Ding Qinyun's tears streamed down her face as she clutched at my clothes, crying hysterically, Impossible! You wouldn't do this to me. Are you still angry? This must be you talking out of anger. I know I was wrong, Jiehua, but back then, I just wanted to give my youth an explanation for those 5 years. I didn't realize it would hurt you so deeply. Hit me, go ahead, hit me. She grabbed my arm and tried to make me hit her, but I pulled back and shielded Sherlon behind me. Ding Chinyan, do you know? Whether it's a man's 5 years or a woman's 5 years, it's the same amount of time. You stole my time to compensate for your youth. You are truly selfish. Seeing my attitude, Ding Chinyan seemed to realize something. Did Gu Ziming have someone do something in prison? You'll have to ask him about that. There was no point in continuing this. I helped Sherlon back into the car and got back into the driver's seat myself. She tried to stop us again, stretching out her hand in front of the car. Without hesitation, I slammed on the accelerator. The convertible roared, and I drove straight at her. Ding Chinyan dodged sharply to the side. My car crashed into the Mercedes, and I sped away. Sherlon, sitting in the passenger seat, cheered excitedly. Cool. Fu Jiehua, you finally stood up for yourself. But how were you so sure she would dodge? I stared straight ahead, replying calmly. Because she is a sophisticated egoist. No matter how much she claims to love, when it comes down to it, she will always protect herself. From behind us came Ding Chinyan's shrill cry. Jiehua, I will show you my determination to repent. Our wedding date is set for the end of this month. The Fu and Bai families have poured 500 million into this grand wedding. I know this is not only for marketing purposes, but also to announce to the restless wolves of Rongqing's business community the news of the Fu and Bai families' decision to unite. Therefore, the entire wedding process is extremely meticulous, and Sherlon and I have already rehearsed 6 times. During the last rehearsal, Sherlon finally threw in the towel. She sat down on the stage, her long legs extending from her haute couture wedding dress. If I had known marriage was so troublesome, I would have run away too. I smiled and took off my suit jacket, covering her legs. You're all grown up, yet you still sit and stand without any grace. However, this scene was caught by Ding Chinyan, who was just outside the hall. She frowned, gritted her teeth, and stormed over. Jiehua, I won't allow you to be so intimate with another woman. I stood in front of Sherlon, looking at Ding Chinyan with some displeasure. What are you doing here? I don't think I didn't make our relationship clear enough last time. Ding Chinyan's eyes were filled with uncontrolled madness. She took out her phone and showed me a video. Gu Ziming was tied up on an iron bed. The bed seemed to be custom-made, with a timed water-dripping device placed above Gu Ziming's forehead. Gu Ziming was blindfolded, and apart from the sound of dripping water, the surroundings were terrifyingly silent. Chinyan, I beg you, let me go. It's because I love you so much. Why are you doing this to me? In the video, Ding Chinyan's voice was terrifyingly cold. Love me? Then when you were secretly consulting a lawyer about the company's equity ownership, were you also thinking about loving me? Gu Ziming's whole body trembled slightly. With another drop of water falling on his forehead, he broke down. Stop torturing me. Just let me die. Let me die. I admit that I deliberately seduced you, but if you were really against Fu Jiehua, how could you easily believe me? You're not a good person either. Don't pretend to be noble and torture me. The person you should be torturing is yourself. Ding Chinyan angrily slapped him, and the video ended. I frowned, but Sherlon's face behind me was even darker than mine. I knew she was really angry. She stood up abruptly, looking at Ding Chinyan with a sinister gaze. You mean, during Fu Jiehua's time in prison, this is the kind of torture he suffered every day? I didn't speak, just gently patted her on the back to comfort her. Ding Chinyan ignored Sherlon and looked at me pitifully. Jiehua, I've already investigated clearly. It was all Gu Ziming's doing. I've already punished him. Will you forgive me? Before I could speak, Sherlon slapped her. Are you crazy? If you don't get out of here, I don't mind sending you to prison to taste this kind of abuse. Ding Chinyan looked fierce, wanting to hit back, but her raised arm was firmly held in midair by me. I flung her away, throwing her to the ground. Stop it, or I'll call the police. The security guards outside the door rushed in and drove Ding Chinyan out. I sighed. When I turned around, I saw Sherlon crying, her makeup ruined. She punched me hard. You suffered this kind of humiliation outside? I must get justice for you. I knew Sherlon's temperament, always one to hold a grudge. So, when I saw the morning news report that Huayan Enterprise had declared bankruptcy, I wasn't surprised. The news said that someone had reported the original embezzlement case against Huayan Group was false, and the police had reopened the investigation. In the end, Ding Qianyun was sentenced to 15 years in prison for embezzlement and kidnapping. And I, too, was cleared of all charges and given justice. Seeing Ding Qianyun on camera, her face a mess of tears and snot, Bai Shilan ate her breakfast, breathing heavily like an old ox. I knew this meant she was pleased. Seeing that I had no intention of thanking her, she stopped pretending. Hey, I avenged you, and you don't even say thank you. I offered a perfunctory thanks, which earned me a big eye roll from her. Forget it. You've already given yourself to me. It's only right that I avenge my future husband. Without Ding Qianyun's interference, the wedding proceeded as scheduled. Everything went smoothly, just as it had during the rehearsal. Shilan, wearing a pure white wedding dress, was led slowly to me by her father. Her hand was gently placed in mine. I saw, for a rare moment, a hint of shyness on her face. The pastor was reading the vows, and I was just about to say, "I do," when a fruit knife flew from the guest seats below. Shilan, in a panic, shielded me, and the sharp blade sliced through the skin she had meticulously cared for half a month of the wedding, leaving a shocking red gash on her chest. Chaos erupted below the stage, and the security guards immediately caught Gu Ziming, who was laughing maniacally in the crowd. Ha ha, Fu Jiahua, if I'm going down, you're going down with me. Only I deserve to be the best. Why were you born with all of this? Go to hell, all of you, go to hell. He shouted at me with a twisted face, but I couldn't pay him any attention. I scooped Shilan up in my arms and rushed out like a madman. Shilan, hold on, don't scare me. You haven't even heard me say I do. How can you leave like this? Hold on. I didn't know when I had become unable to live without this woman who chattered around me all day. I was overwhelmed by a huge fear. I couldn't imagine how I would spend the rest of my life without her. Ambulance. Call an ambulance. Shilan, don't scare me. I can't live without you. Didn't you ask if I really wanted to marry you? Now I can tell you seriously, it's true. I really want to marry you and be my wife. I really want to spend the rest of my life with you. Can you wake up? Please wake up. The blood from her chest gushed out uncontrollably, and I stubbornly pressed my hand against it. Suddenly, I felt Shilan's body convulsing. But these convulsions weren't like the spasms caused by excessive blood loss. They were more like, "Buffed, stop pretending. This prop is too exaggerated. My brother-in-law is about to find out. My stupid sister." In the distance, Bai Shihan shook his head helplessly, his hands on his hips. You've been fooled by her for so many years. How can you still believe her fake death trick? Fake death. I looked at Shilan in my arms, until she awkwardly opened one eye to observe my expression. Seeing a hint of answer on my face, she immediately backed down and apologized. Okay. I lied to you, but it's only because you never show me your true feelings. I had no choice but. All right. Why are you crying? I'm not dead. I knelt on the ground, crying like a child. Thank goodness. You're not dead. The scene before me overlapped with one from my childhood. Back then, I was also kneeling on the ground, begging this woman who had been with me for over 20 years not to die. The same trap, and I fell for it every time. Later, I found out that to ensure the wedding wouldn't be disrupted by any unexpected incidents, Bai Shihan had investigated all the potential troublemakers in advance and had people follow them one-on-one, including Gu Ziming. After Ding Qianyun was arrested, Gu Ziming was rescued. However, the long-term torment had caused him some mental problems. That's why he became Bai Shihan's primary focus. On the wedding day, Bai Shihan saw Gu Ziming sneaking around in the crowd and switched the knife he had hidden. Although the knife was somewhat sharp, it would only cut the skin and not cause fatal injuries. When Bai Shihan learned of this, she came up with a plan to take the opportunity to test my true feelings. That night, I was so angry that I hid in the study to sulk. Shihan crept in, wearing a sexy silk nightgown. She wrapped her arms around my neck and smiled coquettishly. Mr. Fu, your true love has come to find you.